All right, this is going to be a general overview of Granary without getting crazy in detail, hopefully. So we're going to go over callouts, the different areas of the map where people might stand, and how you might navigate it versus some other maps. So starting off with callouts, this is starting on last point from Blue's perspective. We have right spawn, left spawn. We're going to have a lot of left-right callouts on this map. So pipe, right pipe, or left pipe, right pipe, pipe, upper pipe, point, left door, right door, upper, windows. Going to second, we have that upper. We have lunchbox, which is this whole area. Some people also call this garage, but it's probably best to avoid confusion by not doing that. Then there's shutter and Z. This exits out into yard. We see left yard and right yard. And then there's choke and garage. There's also drop down here, which connects to lunchbox. And then when we get to mid, only real callouts are ramp, red crates, blue crates, and then there's a Batman spot right up here. As far as mid fights go, this mid is characterized by having really high walls, a lot of corridors that can eat a lot of spam and kind of bad sightlines. So, and I guess also that a medic might have really long exit lines. So if you're going to commit to leaving, you kind of have to do it early. And so as a result, mids tend to lead to soldiers doing a lot of high bombs, scouts trying to fight for height. You can use winger to get up top. Demo men either start up on ramp or come down lower, let you look up rollouts. And so medics will end up usually dropping down at some point and being really uncomfortable. You either play it proactively by setting your bombs, or you can play it defensively and react to whatever they do. That's about it for what I want to talk about with mids. How I want to section off these different areas are by arenas, which are dictated by their choke points. So this first arena is mid. It's kind of dictated by the garage and chokes. And then the next arena is going to be in yard. So this is why some people call it a 7 CP map. Not every single arena is a control point. When we think about where we want to stand in order to defend these, choke can actually be held down pretty easily by a soldier and a scout. Use combo to be able to pressure through garage. So you might have a scout, soldier, demo, and then medic somewhere around there. When we look at the shape of this choke, think about it from Red's perspective. They can have a soldier standing, you can kind of swap with the scout. This is all very fluid, but soldier can watch choke pretty safely, especially with the scout being able to prevent bombs. Demo can help lock down garage. Medic can stand back relatively safely. And then in order to watch the flank, we have our flank players. So when you think about breaking this choke from either side, we don't have a lot of ways to bomb through in a very productive manner. Blue soldier can high bomb off of this if they can get through choke, which is going to be pretty tough if you think about those sight lines. They can also pogo through here. But they're not going to get super far, so it's definitely a tool to have, but it's not really the end-all be-all. But if we think about how Red is holding, they have a lot of players in heals over here, and in the other yard, they really don't have very many heals at all. So the name of the game for a lot of this is going to be pressuring these guys out. If you can get a pick, that's really good. It allows your players to potentially sneak in and then put some pressure on either going for sacks, drawing people back with back caps, or otherwise just trying to collapse their flank. The counter sacks, if you have counter sack opportunities, tend to go through choke for similar reasons. Now, blue here doesn't have quite so long to grab health. Soldier can rotate really quickly. There's a good arrow line. So it's not going to be quite so easy as it will be for blue to push to red in this situation. However, if you counter stack, a lot of times it's going to go through there. When it comes to, I'll let you kind of derive passive holds. Generally, you're just going to want to back up more. It's not crazy, but you're going to want to establish that with your team. When we think about pushing into second from yard, so this is going to be our next arena, our chokes are going to be Shutter, Z, which also leads into the same area and can be covered by the same people, and then Lunchbox. So if we think about how Red might want to position their players, having Shutter trapped off is going to be really advantageous for them. They can also trap off boxes. And then having another soldier there to help spam out anything else. Scout can kind of rotate around. And then that leaves their flank to cover Lunchbox. So a little bit of a weaker side over here. They got to be careful, but that's definitely a possibility. I don't have anybody positioned up top, but it's very common for people to move up top if players go down, if people get pushed in, that type of thing. So look out for that. So if we think about from Blue's perspective, how do you want to stop this? Well, or how do you want to position yourself? Typically, you're going to want to have your combo on this side. You have, let's see, I got to remember my binds. You know, something like that, whatever. And then you can place your flank over here. Once again, when it comes to sacking, it's going to be really tough. The obvious weak point here is going to be through Lunchbox. So you can try to swing some of your players over. I wouldn't advise bringing your whole combo into here just because you can really get destroyed by some explosive classes. But if you can put some pressure on, get some, potentially get some high ground, a soldier that can somehow get through this doorway, which is very unlikely, has just an instant kill in that bed. But in general, being able to create some pressure through this sightline is really, can be really effective. So a lot of it's going to be about rotating your players around and making it painful for the red players to maintain their ground here. Pushing out from red's perspective here, gonna generally you'd have to have a pretty big advantage to do so. It's a little dicey to push out through Shutter in most cases. There's a lot of hiding spots. So, and you almost never want to push out through Zeeb just because of how, you know, minuscule it is. But in general, going through right yard is good because of how hard it is to sack onto it. If you want to go fast, you can go straight through. Often you might get into a situation where you want to get out into right yard, then cross over into left. So keep that in your back pocket as a possibility. Then when it comes to last holds, I'm going to go over what the defending team might want to do. Most common sentry spot is right here. Can cover point, really hard to spam. They have to commit kind of hard. You might also see teams put sentry closer to point, maybe even in front. That's something you can try out, see if you like it. Advantage to that is just that it covers a little bit more space, but we're not wholly worried about denying soldier bombs with these sight lines. Most likely we're going to get into a sniper fight. Why I would suggest having a sniper on defense if you have one. The three places that we're going to have to watch here are going to be left shutter, right shutter, and then the upper area. So having a soldier on each pipe is a great idea. Demo man, I just kind of put here, but we'll often just rotate wherever people go. Teams like to go out fast through this door. So if you're the attacker, it's the right door. It just tends to be a little bit faster. If you want to go a little bit slower and they don't have a sniper, you can get a little bit more space through the left. There's even a little platform they added in the pro version. So you can do this if you want to go a little bit slower and take some more space. Whereas the right side tends to be the more aggressive one. Teams tend to not push out through top just because of spam opportunities. Yeah, so you basically have to be able to neutralize that sniper, get into a spot where you can spam down that sentry gun or otherwise kill people and then destroy the sentry afterwards. When we think about how we might place our players, having a soldier, maybe a scout up there is a good idea. Making sure that scouts know that they can jump up if they need to. And then you just kind of place your, place your players as you need to. So something like that. Just be careful in this area. It's really easy to get spammed out, and then sightlines also make it dangerous for you. So that's a majority of Granary. It's a little weird in that you're not going to be doing a lot of sacks in the traditional sense, but you're instead kind of wanting to try to rotate on your enemy team and then exploit any sort of weakness that they might have in their flank. All right, hopefully that's informative. There's a lot to go into, but that should hopefully be a good starting off spot.